Issue 13, the last of Batman Incorporated, goes all the way back to issue 1. James Gordon is arresting Bruce Wayne for his involvement with Batman Incorporated. As the interrogation begins, Bruce explains how everything went down. We shift back to the final showdown between Talia and Batman. But before the fight begins, she asks for a kiss. The two embrace and their passion for one another is clear. These two are not only the biological parents of Damian, but also the leaders of Leviathan and Batman Incorporated. Talia also controls the League of Assassins, while Bruce has the vast resources of Wayne Enterprises. This war between two of the most powerful people on the planet has not only engulfed Gotham, but the entire world. Talia then lays out her conditions. Her henchmen are ordered to carry out their mass destruction unless Talia is killed. For Batman to save the day, he will have to ignore his code and kill Talia. Their subsequent battle is fierce. They match each other blow for blow, and both of their swords end up shattering. However, it turns out that Talia coated her blade in poison. Batman is dying, and she is willing to give him the antidote if he begs for it. Suddenly, Jason Todd, as Wingman, arrives and trades Talia the Ouroboros ring trigger for the antidote. She agrees, but the trigger device turns out to be a fake. Todd then tells her that she better start running. Spiral, the international spy agency, is after her. Unfortunately for Talia, it is too late. She is shot in the head by the headmistress of Spiral, Kathy Webb, the former Batwoman who Batman assumed was dead. Webb and Wingman leave, and Batman is left to bury Talia alongside their fallen son. Back in the present, Bruce finishes his story with Gordon. He tells him that both Batman and Batman Incorporated are done. Finished. Another police officer enters the room and informs Gordon that a higher government division has ordered the release of Bruce Wayne and cleared him of all charges. Bruce then returns home to find the graves of Talia and Damian dug up and empty. Grant Morrison ends the issue and his run on Batman with Gordon narrating the situation. Gordon understands that Batman has become overcome with grief, but he knows in his heart that Batman will always come back. Batman never dies, it never ends, and it never will.
What a great line to end this entire run with. And it's so true that after a big tragedy, Batman always comes back. I think most of the time he comes back stronger.
Batman can never die, and that's what's great. I really liked how it was Grant Morrison's kind of final piece for all the Batman work he's done. I think this is a good way to end it.
It's especially true that Batman never dies, considering he's the one that wrote The Return of Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, he killed him in Final Crisis, brought him back.
Batman just never dies.
I think it was really great, though, how he finished off all the storylines that he'd been, working over the past decade on. He killed Talia, killed Damian, but at the same time, he did leave some room for writers to resurrect them later. So he didn't completely eliminate them from Batman lore, but he at least got to conclude his story with them.
Honestly, I felt that this final issue not only culminated a lot of his overarching storylines, but just the immediate storylines from Batman Incorporated.
Completely agree. This final fight, why don't we look at that first? They didn't really fight one-on-one that much. Most of it was talk.
I thought it was nice that it allowed us to get some more closure on the Bruce and Talia relationship. And that's really what the heart of this entire conflict is. It's just their relationship.
Pretty much when Bruce is telling Gordon why all this went down, he said, there are people whose hurt feelings can trigger wars. People whose broken hearts become a grand opera on an international stage.
It obviously seems that Talia is just doing this because she feels jilted. And Batman even speaks to that, saying that after the death of his parents, the pain was so terrible, he decided he could never love anyone again.
I do think he kind of went back on that, because I think he truly loves, his Bat family that he's created, but maybe not love to the extent Talia wants him to love him.
Exactly. Later on, he then goes on to say, I'm sorry I couldn't love you the way you wanted me to, Talia.
Yeah, and Talia, again, just being jilted is what drove her in this. She basically said, this is what I do in my spare time, just mess with you.
I like how in the fight begins, the first thing that they do is pretty much just kiss. Right away, they have some posturing, and then the first thing is just a kiss. So there's still feelings there.
For both of them.
Particularly for Talia, you can see that she still has feelings for Batman, because even though she poisons him, and she's the one that has the antidote, it seems that she's readily just gives it to him,
She wanted to give it to him, because when Jason Todd shows up with his fake box, which I'm surprised Talia fell for, She quickly gave him the antidote.
Exactly. You would think that Talia, who's gone through all this planning, if she really wanted to see Batman dead at that point, she could have gone through with it.
It's all a grand opera.
But speaking of Jason Todd, it's at that point that Kathy Kane makes her appearance, and she sort of just cleans up the entire mess.
Yeah, she's the headmistress of Spiral. We made some guesses about who it was going to be last issue. We were both right. It was Kathy Kane. Which is kind of cool because she was in the first volume of Batman Incorporated, which was before the New 52. So, people like Stephanie Brown was in the first volume as well, so maybe she'll come back.
It's always nice to see some other people that have been left out in the New 52 making reappearances. But what I just find funny is that it's always someone else that does the killing shot in these Batman comics. Batman's hands stay clean even though he's obviously so much involved in these stories.
I was a little disappointed that it was actually Jason Todd who showed up to deliver this fake box. I understand he has some connection with Talia and she's the one who led him to get revived. But at the same time, I think it would have been cool if it was Nightwing or somebody who's that much closer to Damian. As I brought up earlier, Grant Morrison definitely left opportunities for new writers to create brand new stories using these same characters. And in the epilogue, we see Ra's al Ghul is rebuilding the League of Assassins. And he's got a whole room full of future Damians.
I think that'll be a pretty cool development to come from this. Maybe, obviously not right away.
Yeah, I don't want to see it right away, but
no.
maybe in like 3-4 years.
I think it would be a lot of shock value for Batman to come across a army of basically Damians that are in the League of Assassins.
Almost like Talons, but instead they're Damians.
That would be pretty cool.
I think what I also like about the last page of the epilogue is it's Ra's al Ghul telling the sons of Batman to rise, which is kind of cool because Grant Morrison's first Batman story was actually about Damian's, genesis.
So, as a grade for Batman Incorporated number 13, the last Batman Incorporated, what would you give it as a grade?
I'd give it a 4 out of 5. I liked how he definitively closed off all of his stories, but still left enough intact for a new generation of Batman writers.
I'll give this issue a 4.5 out of 5. I really enjoyed how everything connected in the end. Gordon's narration throughout the issue was a nice touch that just pulled the story together.
Thanks for watching B3 Comics review of Batman Incorporated number 13. Before we go, we got a question for you guys.
What is your favorite moment from Grant Morrison's work on Batman?
Mine would have to be the return of Bruce Wayne. I really love Batman just time traveling and, meeting with cavemen and becoming a pirate. It was just such a cool story.
I'm going to go with Batman and Son because how important Damian has been over the last few years. And with Batman Incorporated, it really closed that storyline. And that's why I think it's one of the most important things Grant Morrison's done.
We want to hear your guys' answer as well, so leave it below in the comments.
And if you haven't checked out our announcement video out last week, you should do that now. We're putting out a new video series in August, and we're looking for your suggestions.
You can vote again on Facebook and Twitter as well. Thanks.